Total for the outdoor team is 6,023 people engaged.
Yeah, I'm a backup.
All right.
You're not.
Quick question for you, Carl. Darcy has asked for assistance with the upcoming large requests for someone to speak about the eclipse at different locations. I volunteered, a few others have. Have you guys gotten a significant number of volunteers to help you?
David and Chris are helping right now. We've got it covered this week.
All right, well, again, let me know, and if anyone wants to help out, Darcy, maybe on the sharing, hit it again and ask for help, and I think everyone needs to, because Carl and Darcy have done so much for this group, really, and I think it's time that others step up to help out. Okay?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Somebody else.
That's right, everyone's hearing it, so. All right, I'm still the membership chairman, and what I'm going to be doing over the next 3 weeks is I'm going to be either emailing or calling every member, mentioning about the group's IO, making sure they all know about it, asking people what they think of the club, what they would like new or different, and also trying to get new volunteers. So it's a multitask thing. All right, so I'm going to turn the podium over to Rocky, who's our program chairman, and let him get the road running.
Up first is Bruce McMath.
Why don't you let me go last?
You wanna go last?
Yeah, why don't you have the interesting stuff first?
Yeah, let's get the.
James, you go next, and Jim Sykes, yeah,
Okay,
that Jim.
that's you. Okay,
He's
that's
only got like 5 minutes.
okay.
And he's been a strong, his claim to fame is, to me, is that in 1966, he got to see a meteor storm in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Leonids. And I know one other person did that, Elliot Neal, got to see him. I missed him. I was watching for him in Dyersburg, Tennessee, but they were right before dawn in Fayetteville. So anyway, to me, that's it. But he's a long-time astronomer, and it comes to us from Olympic Astronomical Society in Seattle, Bremerton, Washington.
Wow.
But he lives in Heber Springs now.
All right.
Jim.
Yeah, you want to show me how to cue this up?
Well, you have to hit share screen if you already set up.
Have you already got it up?
Yeah, well, it's in there.
Yeah, it's on the PowerPoint.
Share screen.
Did you, know Bill Bryson in Fayetteville?
Which one's his?
Okay. He always talked about that storm. I did or saw it.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Slide.
And then put it on, no, put it on the, not the slide, the slideshow. Back up. Go to his thing
You can
again.
do that after I get on. Yeah.
Isn't technology great?
You're already there. Go here. You may have to double click. Okay, then up top, you want to go to slideshow. Hang on, so you know how to do, get it on the slideshow?
I'm gonna let you do it, so I don't screw it up. I might be able to.
Click stay co-host as while you're there.
Okay, reclaim,
No.
say co-host, okay. And then what's happening is up here, we call it, that's what's happening, it's up there, it's caught, we can't see it there, but let me see if I can see it here, hang on. Hang on. I don't know what that is.
Hit the okay.
Okay.
Hit the okay button.
Just
And that'll
relax,
close.
just relax, I'm gonna hit cancel. And then I can see up here. Why can't we see
Hit the okay button at the
No,
very
no.
top right. It just, you notice that you're being recorded, so, okay.
that's fine,
Now then.
there, okay, then this came up. And we shouldn't have to do that. And then there is the, all right, now you're good. Watch it. Okay. All right.
All right. I would like to take just a few minutes tonight to talk to you about the variable star T Corona Borealis. If any of you have looked through your March sky and telescope, there's a fine article by Brad Schaefer on the idea, the projection that T Corona should go nova sometime this year. This is T corona is
Get
is,
closer to your mic, I'm afraid it won't
is
hear.
that better?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
good,
Yeah, that's a very close mic, I see. T corona is a recurrent nova, and it has erupted in 1866 and then again in 1946. If any of you read the Starlight Nights book by he followed it for 25 years and then turned clock off and missed the when it went nova that one day. It's a system with a red giant and a white dwarf separated by a pretty good orbit. They orbit around the very center in 227 days. And again, it went in 1866, it went in 1946, and we're coming up on 80 years again. So they followed the light curve very closely on this thing, and it has gone into its pre-eruption decline. So the American AAVSO, I'll just say American Association of Variable Star Observers, has put out a notice that you probably want to be looking for this because they really think it's going to blow within the next year. The thing is it doesn't last very long. If you'll notice, they expect it to reach as high as magnitude 2. It's hovering down around magnitude 10 right now. So when it goes, it should go up to magnitude 2 if it follows the path that it has the last few times, and only stay there for a few hours, and then slowly decline. Should be they predict it'll be very visible to the naked eye, that is above magnitude 6, for about a week. So if you can catch it the night it goes, it'll be at mag 2, they believe, and otherwise you can still see it with the naked eye. Here's a sky and telescope chart of Corona Borealis, and right here is where T Corona is. Like I say, it's at magnitude 10. The closest star to it is Epsilon Corona Borealis. Alpha over here is the alpha star in Corona, and it sits at magnitude 2.2. So if you catch T at its peak, you'll have two stars that are just about the same brightness here. So it should be pretty spectacular. Just to show an AAVSO chart, which you can customize one yourself if you just go to their website and click on the Create a Finder chart. So you can select field of view, limiting magnitude, and the orientation of the chart. I selected this one with a 2-degree field so I could show you Epsilon there, which is a good star to key on to find the thing. And last, here's if you want to look at sky and telescope, there's the article in the March one. There's a couple of websites. The AAVSO has put out a notice of the pre-eruption dip, and on it there's a link that you can click and get a very good webinar by Dr. Schaefer to get some really in-depth look at the situation. And then they have put out an alert website on the AAVSO that if it blows, you can go there and find out really quickly. So right now, T Corona doesn't rise until late morning, not too much before sunrise. So you don't want to stay up before you go to bed, check the website, and if it went, you can rush out and get ready and take a look. I do have some handouts, with the AAVSO chart that I did and the websites. So if you want to do that, you're certainly welcome to. Yes.
You said the magnitude is 2.2?
Magnitude of Alphecca is 2.2, and they expect T Corona to go up to 2, so just a little brighter. Anything else?
Yeah, what is the distance to this star? Do we know?
I don't know. I think we do know, but I don't know what it
Okay.
is.
But it's not a supernova then.
It's something you can look on the webinar or in the
It's just a nova.
it is just a nova, but this particular star is very near Chandrasekhar's limit.
Mhm.
So there is speculation that, depending on how much stuff it blows off when it goes, it could possibly collect enough, matter to become a type 1A
Yeah.
supernova. So they're pretty interested in that, as to, there's still some,
So then what would be the brightness if it did that?
I don't know, but I suspect a lot more than Mag 2.
Yeah, I would think.
Okay, there you go, 2,700 light years, so we're safe anyway. Okay,
Yeah, still.
All right.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
I'll just leave these up here and after.
Thanks for sharing.
Appreciate everybody showing up tonight. And I think part of it may be because of our speaker and our subject, which is photographing eclipses by Jim Dixon. Jim's been photographing. I remember when he's been doing lunar eclipse. That's what I remember, because of course you have a lot more than for a long time of sequences showing from the start to the finish. So anyway, Jim.
Let's take it down from share. You know what you're doing, Jim? Take it down from share and get yours?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, if you just hit share again, it'll give you the choice of which. There he goes. Right, Jim, and just over this, if you can stay seated. Uh-oh. Maybe it won't.
Let's see. Let's get the right screen up there.
Yes, sir.
Whoops, that's wrong. Right here.
Right here. He's gonna have to hold it.
I wonder if we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still there before.
Sir, I have somebody who's on Zoom that says they can't see the slides really well. We can only see it through.
We can see him now.
No,
It's not shared.
It's not
You
shared.
have to share, yeah,
You sharing it?
not share.
I think you have to take
Yeah, you
it
have
off
to
the
take
big
it.
screen and choose it from
I know,
there.
but yeah, but you have to hit share again to pick the right thing. You're sharing the old one. So select clear. There you go.
Well, it said it's better.
And just select yours.
Who it's in.
Can the people in the Zoom, see my, presentation? If not, let me know.
Yes, sir.
I've been doing partial, eclipses for a few years, 2014, 2023, a few others over the years. This will be my first, total eclipse, successful one.
We're looking to hit the side arrow. Yep. There you go.
There we go, finally. This is not.
Yeah, you have to hit, just use the arrow key.
The first thing you're gonna need to, is, of course, a camera. I expect you'll be using a DSLR or mirrorless camera. You'll need to be, you'll need a camera that can be controlled much more than an automatic camera can be done. So you'll need something like a DSLR or a mirrorless, that type of camera that will give you the kind of control that you need. This is not being reflected here on the laptop. What do you think? Which do you?
It's not. What's going on? Did you move it? Did you go through to the? Shots. Okay.
You stand up and look at the screen.
No, it's just not advancing.
I thought it was.
No. Why is it not advancing?
Hang on, let's start all over again.
Okay, we're heading there. Are we still on Zoom, I hope?
While we're doing that, why don't we, pass it around and see if anyone wants about one.
Do what?
Springs up here, it says extended.
And Chris, would you here come up and help?
All right, let's try this again. Yay.
Okay.
So, the proper setup is, of course, to get a safety film that will go over your camera, the same kind of safety film.
Hey, guys.
used for solar eclipse, I'm sorry, eclipse glasses. You can get these at practically any astronomy vendor or Walmart or Amazon. You can buy these in sheets, 4 inches, 6 inches, 10 inches, however much you think you're going to need. Excuse me. You're also going to need a tripod and probably a programmable remote of some sort. The event will take approximately 3 hours from start to finish. You're going to be taking picture after picture after picture. And you need to be able to have a steady platform for your camera. Optionally, you can track this, the sun across the sky, which will enable you to do a close-up of the sun. Something that you may not think about until you've actually tried to do it is you're going to need a way to, you're going to need a flip-out monitor on your camera, or perhaps some way to project to a smartphone or tablet, because the back of your camera will be pointed toward the ground and you'll have a lot of difficulty seeing it if you don't have some. Modern cameras do allow you to project to your smartphone or tablet, so that could be that could solve that problem. Excuse me. Now we're going to assume that you have an APS-C DSLR or mirrorless, just like me. Because that makes everything simpler. Again, you're not going to be able to rely on automatic settings because you're going to have a very bright thing in the center of a dark background, and your camera just won't know what to do. You're going to be able to, you're going to have to switch it into manual mode so that you can control the shutter speed, the F ratio, and the ISO, perhaps more than once during the eclipse. Now, totality just lasts a few minutes at best. But the partial eclipse will starts typically about 75 minutes. Seems like this case it might be a little bit longer before totality and lasts the same amount of time after. You know, totality is the star of the show, but you may want to capture the entire event. That means you're going to need either a wide-angle view that can cover the entire area that the sun will traverse in those 3 hours, from a stationary tripod, or some way to follow the sun as it moves across the sky. You're going to need to sunproof your camera with that material that you bought from Amazon or Astronomics or somewhere. You can make your own. I have done that. The picture here on the screen shows 3 filters that I've got at the house right now. I made one of them. I took some filter and some foam core board and sandwiched it all together and made a serviceable solar filter. Also bought 2 others that are simple Mylar type film in a cardboard holder. Let's see, what's next? So if you order your stuff, your flat film from Amazon, you can go ahead and use you can use cardboard, foam core board, or an easy mat container that will fit over your camera lens. And you do need to be careful about this holder needs to fit well over your camera, but since take that off in the middle of the event. So you need something that won't blow away, but also won't screw up your focus as you try to lift it off and then put it back on a few minutes later. So you need something like that. You need something that's heavy but loose. I built one a few months back out of cardboard, and truth be told, it blew away. So I had to rethink that.
I mentioned too, if you don't use a filter like that, the sun will burn a hole in your cloth shutter in your camera.
Yes, it absolutely will.
So don't do that.
I think I do actually mention that later. What I ultimately settled on was some solar filter film sandwiched between 2 cheap camera filters. When I say cheap, I'm talking about $5 to $10. These are the UV haze filters that you can buy for your camera lenses. They're not, again, $5 to $10. And I get the filter, the film, and put them between two of them, and then I can just screw that right onto my camera lens. What I have settled on recently is a flip up filter holder. Oh, let's go back one. This filter holder rather, excuse me, screws into the lens. You flip it down, it will protect the camera from the sun. You flip it up, and it will allow the total, allow you to see the total eclipse. You need to, now you can listen to me, but you really need to do your own research, your own experimentation to see what's really going to work for you. I can give you some ideas, but you really need to just do your own practice, your own experimentation when it comes down to it. You need to do some dry runs beforehand. Experiment with your gear, make sure it all works. I've had an opportunity once, about 6 weeks ago. It was probably the last time it was clear. And I came out here and set up and shot the sun with my gear, and I actually decided that what I was going to do wasn't going to work, so I had to go back and try some other things. I got some good pictures, except when I zoomed in, they weren't in focus with the lens I was using, and it was just going to be too much trouble. And you don't want to wait until April 8th to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. You need to know before then. I think I've got something that's going to work for me. But again, if it ever clears up again, I need to and make sure. I mentioned earlier about setting up on a stationary tripod. During my research with my DSLR, my APS-C DSLR, I found out that commonly available 28mm lens was just not small enough. I'll need a shorter lens than that. Thankfully, hang on, there one. An 18mm is also commonly available, and that appears to be just right. So here I am simulating the solar eclipse over a 3-hour period, and this is like what I did for the annular eclipse a few months ago. Is set this up, and the sun just tracked across the entire sky during that period of time, stayed within the camera's field of view for 3 hours, and so that's was successful during the annual eclipse. And I'm planning on doing this again for this eclipse. If you use that technique where you're taking a picture every few minutes over the course of the 3 hours, then you'll be able to come up with an image that's like this, with the partial phases of the sun slowly getting thinner and thinner until you get the totality, and then going back out the other side. 3 minutes would allow the sun to clear its own image. I mean, the sun moves its own diameter in about 2 minutes. So if you set your pictures 3 minutes apart, then each time the sun will have moved out of its own way, and so you have distinct solar pictures that you could just then stack later. Now you're going to have because you're gonna have that filter on to protect your camera, and you don't wanna lose your camera. You're not gonna be able to see much of anything else in these pictures. It's gonna be black with the sun right there. If you take picture every 3 minutes, like I said, you're gonna shoot only about 60 images over the entire 3-hour event. And you'll be able to put those all together into something like this. Now, having said all that, that's what I did last time for the annular eclipse. This time, I'm going to take take like every minute, maybe even a little bit less, 30 seconds perhaps, so I can get a better flow of images of the sun moving across. I can discard pictures better and easier than I can make them up later. So I'm gonna get all the data I can get and see what I can do with it. Now, you've seen some wonderful pictures, sky telescope and so forth. I keep thinking about this one I saw where there was a camel. There was a camel and a guy in flowing robes and a solar eclipse behind them. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that off.
Not unless he's on a ladder or something.
Yeah, but yeah, the problem here is the sun is going to be high in the sky on April 8th, and it's going to be difficult to have a foreground object. But you can use your imagination. Get on the north side of a mountain. I think that little pond that's to the north of Pinnacle Mountain might be a good place. It might also have 100 different people there trying to do the same thing. So there's that little problem, is finding a place a scenic place that's not going to be covered up with a lot of people. But the sun starts this event at about 60 degrees high in the sky, just east of due south. And over the course of the 3 hours, it will drop to about 48 degrees and just nearly southwest. Still pretty high, no matter what you do. You can use a tall building or a statue. But it's going to be difficult to find something like that. So use your imagination. Maybe if you had a classic car, you could just drive it up and you set up your camera right next to that classic car and do that. That'd be unique.
So you're giving up, you're not gonna do the long fulfilling work. You're just gonna do the short,
Oh, no.
or you're gonna do both?
I'm gonna do both.
Okay,
I just haven't gotten to that yet.
okay, all right. Just checking.
Yeah. Now, if you do want to zoom in, as we were just discussing, you may want to follow the sun. You can buy sky trackers. There's plenty of them around. Move, shoot, move, Star Adventure, and so forth. You can see them right there. They range in price from $300 to $600, and they tend to require you to provide your own tripod. But they would allow you to set up a camera on them and then track the sun across the sky. Now, having said all that, this is my sky tracker. It's an equatorial mount. I use it for my Maxitov and some other things. And I use this at the annual eclipse in Midland, Texas. It's got my 5-inch Mac with, you can't see the camera, but well, maybe you can. Yeah, just behind the telescope there is just below and behind it is one of my DSLRs with a 300 millimeter lens, just kind of hanging off the side there. And in the background is my stationary other DSLR that I use for the wide angle.
That's what you shot at 300?
Yes.
Is that what you're gonna do this one?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I was able to, again, view the annular eclipse and also shoot it at the same time. And that was a remarkably enjoyable event. Now, here's a simulation of what totality would look like with my APS-C camera and a 300 millimeter lens. Now, you could argue that you could go higher magnification, maybe a 500 or 600, but at some point you're going to start infringing on the corona, and you don't want to cut that off.
No.
So I'm thinking personally, I'm not going to try to go higher than 300. I was looking at 500, but
Yeah.
I decided
Shooting it with my 600, and now you're making me question.
Yeah, when you think about that, now the corona, depending on just how long your exposure is and other criteria, the corona may not extend that far, but but you don't want to lose any of it. So again, cameras today have plenty of pixels. So I'm going to go to 300 and probably not beyond that. And here's another simulation. If you don't have a tracking platform, but you do have a 300 millimeter lens, if you wanted to try this, you could have the sun up in the upper left, just as totality starts, and start shooting, and the sun moves at about 1 degree every 4 minutes. That's twice its diameter. The eclipse, the totality itself lasts about 4 minutes. So over the course of totality, it's really only going to move about twice its diameter. So you could try this. It honestly sounds like a lot of trouble to me at a critical phase. So I'm not going to try this myself, not with a 300 millimeter lens. But it is something, if you don't have a tracking platform and you do want to do this, then that's something you could try.
You do it with a 200. A 200, it just wouldn't.
Or two, and yeah,
That's what I shot 17, so for 200.
Yeah.
Or 300 would probably been a little better.
Yeah. Now I'm about to. There is an astronomer, Fred Espenak. He's been dubbed Mr. Eclipse because he knows this stuff left and right and back and forth. And we're about to look at some of his suggestions about how to shoot the eclipse. And I think again, practice. You need to do it. You need to try this stuff. If it ever clears up again, you get out there and practice with your own setup and make sure your things are going right. Now, the one thing you can shoot the sun with your solar filter. That's the only thing you can actually test ahead of time. But here's this chart. It looks a lot bigger on the TV. And if you once you look at it, pick your ISO. I'm going to go with 100 because that's as low as my camera will go. 100, and then you move over to the right to an F number like 5.6, for example, and then you go down from there to figure out what kind of shutter speed to use for different criteria, or different features, I should say, like the chromosphere or the prominences or the corona out to a certain distance from the sun. If you're really nerdy, you can go down here and use the exposure formula to figure it out. But I like charts, so I'm gonna stick with the charts.
You're still nerdy though.
Okay, I'm still nerdy.
Sorry. You are.
Now, but for example, and this is what I was just talking about. Set your ISO to 100, your F ratio to 5.6. The chromosphere will then need a 1/4000th of a second, while the corona at 2 radii from the sun, which is the diameter of the sun.
All right, I got a question though, right there. That 4,000, that is Unfiltered or filtered?
That says, according to Mr. Espinak's chart, unfiltered, because you have just flipped that filter up or taken it off, in another way. So that's one that is unfiltered, because this is totality now.
Okay, all right, good.
If you leave your filter down or on, you'll have very disappointing results.
I would think.
Your totality.
Yeah,
So set your camera to bracket your exposures. This is if you've ever tried it, this is where it takes three pictures every time you click. It will take a brighter one, a dimmer one, and one smack on what you're expecting. And so you need to do that. If you're drifting, like we discussed in that high 300 millimeter drift across there, don't let this get too long, because it'll be blurry. Now, going back to his chart, kind of just zooming in on something that I think would work for my setup is, the first thing you're going to do is, looking at the chart, you can see that the partial eclipse with a 5.0 meter density is 1/1000th of a second. That is your partial eclipse. That is what you can actually practice on ahead of time with the totally uneclipsed sun, with your solar filter on there. But this chart says that's 1/1000th of a second. The prominences, excuse me, are half that at 1/2000th of a second. Again, at this point, you've taken the filter off. Before you had the filter on just one click ago at 1,000th of a second for the partial eclipse. But now you've taken the filter off, and your prominences are 1/2000th of a second. The 4 radii from the sun, that's a half a second. Now that is 10 f-stops from prominences to twice the diameter of the sun away from the sun. So that's 10 f-stops. Right smack dab in the middle of that is 1/60th of a second. So you might argue that 1/60th of a second, excuse me, is the right exposure for this. Right exposure, right middle exposure, using bracketing to go as far as you can toward the other two directions. No, I'm fine. I know it didn't sound like it, but everything.
Okay.
So you set it at a 60th of a second. You're bracketing +5, -5. If your camera will go that far, it may not. But your camera chip has a lot of dynamic range on its own, so you can hopefully that will take.
I think we can do the automatic thing up to 3 stops either way.
Yeah.
So 6 stops. I'm sorry, I forget to do that.
So if you're partial eclipse,
But absolutely, when I shot 17, I was changing exposures like crazy. Yeah, the dynamic range is huge.
Yeah.
From the very
It is.
part
It really
right up
is.
next to the sun to the way out fluffies.
10 stops is a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
Don't dispute that. It is a lot. So if you're, the thing is, you can't practice totality except by going to total solar eclipses and practicing.
Well, actually, I was gonna say. Actually, you can. What I did is I saw an article in Astronomy magazine. And what they said is practice your totality exposures on a gibbous moon. And then you can practice your total solar on just the sun itself, and then you bracket in between. And that's what I did in 2017, and it worked out beautifully.
So set your exposure right for the gibbous moon.
The gibbous moon is perfect for totality to show the corona and everything.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, when you're, is it on?
Yeah.
Okay, when you're doing the moon, right up next to the terminator is several stops.
Yeah.
Less than the limb. So, yeah, it is kind of somewhat, but my experience in the 17 is it was more than that. it was way, way far
Yeah.
to get. I mean, I kept getting more and more stuff further out, the longer I went.
Yeah, I mean, it will go way out. We saw.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier chart. If you're exposed. But that stuff that's eight out, radii out, you can see here on this chart, it's 2 seconds. You're shooting, you're trying to get prominences at 1/2000th, and now you're trying to get something that's 4 diameters out with 2 seconds.
Yeah,
It was fun.
it's challenging.
It's a challenge. Maybe the answer is 5 cameras. I don't know. I only have 2, so I'm going to be limited.
Fred Espinac said he shot more of his most recent.
But
He told us that he
You're
shot
supposed to use this or you get in trouble.
That's right. John's in big trouble now.
opportunity to talk with Fred Espinac this year at a couple of conventions. And he said this, one of the most recent ones, he thought he could run 17 cameras at one time. That got away from him.
oh, really?
But, yeah, so he had videos on stills and, had other people, his wife, helping him with that. So multiple cameras can be your answer.
Turn on. Yeah, I don't know.
I just can't imagine 17 cameras getting away.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, we might end up with nothing.
But you can bracket, like we're saying, we can take three or four shots at the same time and just shift.
Yeah,
Shift.
you could do that.
That's what I did. Yeah, I was going back and forth, up and down, long,
Yeah,
long, short.
In my camera, at least the same feature that allows me to do bracketing also allows me to shift left and right. So yeah, if you're
Running manual.
yeah, I'm just trying to think that you could easily be spending all your time looking down at your camera, fiddling with it, and then you go, it's over.
Now, but you see, I shot 2017 with the Nikon Coolpix, which is a sort of a one-shot, fancy one-shot camera. And I had a 2-second delay from when I pressed the bulb to shoot it. I got some really beautiful pictures, and I used that same thing, gibbous moon for that. Went bracketed it tenths by tenths, and some of my pictures are on the website for the Eclipse that Darcy helped put together, and they look great. So
I tell them every time we give a presentation, your name's on it with the pictures.
so you just have to practice and have a range and be quick about making changes while the Eclipse is going. I think battery's dead on this one. We've got the one over there. Huh?
It was working.
Yeah, I know, but it went off automatically again. So maybe I have to hold it. There you go.
Yes. Oh, it's got a microphone over there.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Is it on?
So anyway, during totality, things are going to be kind of hectic. Whether you're having to mess with your camera or not, I mean, maybe you are, maybe you're not, if you're lucky. But you got to, with each shot, is you're going to be switching wildly back between all these f-stops. And then you're going to switch back 4 minutes later. So, don't let, you want your pictures, you want your own personal pictures. That's why you're doing this. You're not going to say, I'm just going to go to the internet and look at that. You want to get your own pictures. I want to look up. Yeah, look up. So don't forget to look up.
Don't forget.
My wife and daughter said, that was really long. Not to me. Seemed like about 10 seconds or something. Yeah.
Now, here's some other ideas of things you can do. You can look for partial eclipses or even totality through gaps in leaves in a tree. Or if you don't have a tree nearby, you can use this strainer that you got at Walmart for $2. Or failing that, you can use John's hat. Because apparently it does the same thing.
I have a straw hat.
We can do this.
You can do that.
Mhm.
And
Interlocking fingers, yeah.
there's all kinds of things. Carl's got a colander, it's Carl's colander, in fact, that's what we called it.
Can you use this thing on your
That
window?
does the same thing. So it will project I've heard that it will project totality. I've never tried those before. And which reminds me, in the clubhouse, there are those little solar Eclipse discs that I 3D printed. They are free. Pick one up. Whether they work or not, I don't know. You're not getting your money back though. But take one and hold it up during the eclipse and see if you see a partial eclipse on the ground.
You do not look through a pinhole.
You do not look through it. Especially not your money back that way. There's a feature called shadow bands. I think these are ripples on the ground. I think it's kind of like when you're looking at it through a swimming pool. That's what I think it is. But they will kind of ripple across the ground just before totality. Here in this picture, they've taken a sheet and just set it on the ground, put some rocks on it, keep it from blowing away, and you can see those coming. You're on a mountaintop looking to the south. You might see the shadow of the moon racing towards you. For a brief time, I thought about setting up on Flatside Pinnacle Mountain in the Ouachitas, probably 30 minutes from here. And then I remembered that it was a 10-minute trek up the mountain with all my gear over and over again. And I said, no, I don't think we do that. But that would give a good view to the south.
If you like to teach a tripper, if you don't help you.
Fresh batteries in your camera. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, make sure you do that. I mean, it's kind of that's a no-brainer, but you've been out there, you've got your camera out and you said, need a new battery.
It's hard to.
And likewise, make sure you got my camera and probably most will take 400, 500, 600 pictures per battery. So that's probably going to be enough. But you just want to make sure that you got a fresh battery and you don't want to have to change it. It's good to have spares, but it's better to have a full battery that you don't have to change it all. Likewise, you make sure you got SD cards. 32 gigabytes probably good enough. I've got 128. So just make sure. Now, you need to know exactly what time each transition in the eclipse starts. And this website that Carl and Darcy put together will give you exactly that for many towns and cities in Arkansas.
Hey, Jim, just so everybody knows, in North Little Rock at the Argenta Plaza, they're having a moon block party, April 6th to the 8th. Okay?
Thank you. Well, we're going to be in the sun for 3 hours. And it's not going to be October this time. It's going to be April. It's going to be warm. So make sure you have some shade and a way to cool off. You've got a canopy you can put up. That's a good way. So just make sure you don't overheat. Bring something to eat and drink. You really don't want your blood sugar crashing while you're doing this. It starts just after noon, so have lunch. And start your cameras just before the start of the partial eclipse, and end just after the end of the partial eclipse. So that's like 3 hours. Now I realize some people don't care about that part. And maybe and there's nothing wrong with just being interested in totality, but I'm going to be there for 3 hours plus. And
So would I be an eclipse snob if I just did totality?
yeah, if you just want, no one will judge you. At least we won't say
I
that.
want to be a snob.
Yeah, again,
John,
John.
here's-
I'm an eclipse
you can remove your filters just before totality and put them back on just after totality ends. But, you need to, just make sure you take it off at the right time and put it back on at the right time. Excuse me. Set a timer. I mean, that seems like a simple thing to do, but wherever you're gonna be, you've got a pretty good idea of how long the eclipse is gonna last for you. So, set a countdown timer on your phone and start it just as totality starts, and that way you'll know what to do. You'll know it's about to end and time to put your glasses back on. Just be careful. It doesn't take very long to damage your retina if you're careless.
I have to say, that was the most dramatic thing, was during that 2 or 3 minutes of totality, when that first little tiny sliver came out. It was like an arc welder.
Yeah.
It was incredibly bright, and I mean, everything got bright, just like that. There was no gradual brightening up. It was just daytime. That's how bright the sun is.
Well, it's all over. You've been here for 3 hours and it's all over, and you're kind of exhausted. So what do? Pack up everything and start going home. If you're in a big crowd, let them be the first to leave. Take a break, have something to eat, use the bathroom. Because it's gonna take it's gonna take them hours to get out. I thought about Hollow National Wildlife Refuge. The center of the eclipse passes right through it. And it's vast. But it's got one entrance. And one bathroom. Although, you could actually go outside. But I mean, I could easily, this place is huge. I mean, it could easily handle 10,000 people until they tried to leave. So anyway, if you're in a crowd, just take your time. Don't worry about it. What else you got to do? I mean, might as well be somewhere comfortable as stuck in traffic. Practice. Assuming the rain ever stops, set your gear up. Set it up. You don't even have to go outside for this part, but take your camera and set it to take pictures every minute or so, and just make sure you can shoot 3.5 hours without filling up your SD card, without running your battery down. Yeah. So, and then make sure you're tracking correctly and all that. The sun is remarkably difficult to focus on. If you got a DSLR, you know that all the way to the left, or I guess it's the left, is not actually infinity. It's beyond infinity, if that's possible. So getting it in focus can be a lot more difficult. So that's where you practice.
How do you focus?
Yeah, I mean, how do I focus?
Yeah.
I go all the way to the left, then I creep it back a little bit, and then I zoom in and as far as I can.
So you use live view and zoom up on it.
But I also focused in on sunspots. There
Yeah.
should be some.
If you can see the sunspots.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Now, if this is a bust, there's always 2026 in high school.
Noted.
Yeah. So, say your pennies.
2045 and more.
You want to say what?
2045.
Well, yeah, there's always that. That's plenty of time. Now, I will
I'll be
be
here if you will. How about that?
I'm planning on being there in 2045. I'll be moving really slow, but I'll be there. Practice. This is something I did from the annular eclipse back in October. And using the wide angle lens on a stationary tripod for 3 hours. In that case, it went from the lower left to the upper right. We'll be doing it the opposite direction this time.
No.
And that's all I've got.
that John was doing.
Can you bring up the web browser? Chrome. I guess that's Chrome that we're using.
All right.
While you're doing that, I've got a few other things to say. So, I hadn't thought of a title for this, but, there's several people in here that have been working on this, club. And, they're part of the observatory. They're part of the observatory committee, whether they know it or not. So we've had some keys made. And, if I could get David and Stephen, the coin, David Heigl. John, you got a key to this place?
I have a few.
All right.
It's just a place.
There's a few other people that already got keys, so I can't give them a key. So here you go. There's your personal key to the observatory.
Oh, sweet.
These guys work hard on the deck out here. If you've noticed, it's got a new deck. Along with Jim and John, and maybe I'm missing a few, I don't know, but they've all got keys already. And then they got in here and painted, pulled the baseboards off, did all the trim, put down a new floor. So, thanks. Enjoy your keys.
Thank you. There you go. Yeah. Well done. It's what I have to offer for now. And my technical expertise.
Another little aside, this is not a jump table up here. This is, well, maybe for want of a better term, a swap table. So you can come up here, if you've got something in your kitty that you don't longer need, you can bring it in here and maybe somebody else can use it. But also, maybe you don't have anything to put in here, but you see something up here you could use. You can take it. Or if you feel guilty about it, you can put a few dollars in the donation box in there by the refrigerator in the kitchen. Now, some of the things I'd really like to get rid of, everything here except that telescope, by the way. We've got space heaters. Anybody I got 3 space heaters here. Love to get rid of for maybe $10. Anybody need a space heater? Fan, we've got a couple extra fans. But anyway, there's some magazines down here that might be fun, all kinds of cord adapters, sky charts, telescopes, counterweights. We need to get rid of some of this, and we got books back in the corner too. All right. Books. Books. You know what those are, David? You remember?
Some people like books.
Paper. Huh? Paper. Take some of those books. We're gonna have to get a bookshelf if we don't read them. I don't want another. So the only thing I wanted to do was talk a little bit, try to orient people a little bit on and inspire people to get into our groups IO. Catherine complained that we changed something that wasn't broken, but
We need to cast.
what?
We're not casting the screen or sharing.
Okay, how do we do that here?
That's a good question. I thought we were casting to TV. Sharing's easy. You know.
We just need to share. We just share.
By the way, speakers for the star parties for June and July, maybe May. So think about trying to do something. Give me a shout.
Now share.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we're not casting the screen yet though.
You're on a second desktop. You opened another desktop.
Dots.
Yeah. You saw that too, that came up on the second desktop.
What?
Do what?
You move to a second computer, basically.
Second share.
Where is this? Station share?
And then cast.
Oh, we're not casting. We don't have the ability to cast.
Yes, we did. It's complicated.
What?
Cast there.
Cast this?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay.
Chris, Chris,
See, I told you we didn't,
Yeah, we
we
can't.
had this set up.
right, Chris, could you?
Chris, come on up here and get it going for us. Yeah.
Technology.
Yeah, we got it fast right now.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
But it's not gonna work,
Right there.
but it doesn't work with Chrome, with the new, update.
It does with that.
With that,
He's on tab.
oh, he's on the tab, all right.
All right, so, what we had wasn't broken, but it wasn't optimal. And this is called a Central Arkansas Astronomical Society. We call it a club, which is what it is. Either way you get at it, it's a social organization, right? And so it's important for people to be able to get involved and participate in some way. And it's always been a challenge to make that happen, to make it as available to people as possible. And while we had these listservs, they just had a few topics and it was hard to control how you got the traffic. So the idea was we create with this groups IO is we create a whole lot of subcategories, divide the topics up, and then this groups IO platform gives users the ability to control and really on a fine-grained scale, how you receive the information. A lot of people want to be involved, but they don't want that flood of emails, right? And so this lets you decide what topics you're interested in and then control your emails and how you get them. Now, so I just want to hit this real quick. And I knew I'd get in here and I wouldn't recognize everything. Doesn't look like mine. So the main category is the main group or the CAAS membership group. And we pulled all the existing members into that. And if you didn't do anything else, you're a member of this. But you then have the option to come down here to subgroups and join all kinds of subgroups. Now, wait a minute, that's not the view I want.
So are we also still using Night Sky?
Yeah, Night Sky Network is
Yeah.
a different matter.
Right, okay.
All right, subgroups. How do I get in polls? Here we go. So click on subgroups, and here are the groups we've got so far, and we can have more. The mothership is the membership group up here. And they've got,
Oh,
we've got,
you're getting fuzzy, Bruce.
we've got a board. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, yes. Specific.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
buffering or something.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got a board group, an operations group. We got a lot of business groups, you know, if you got to run this place. Go back. Subgroups.
Yeah, what's it with the elephants? I can get that.
That's
They're
the.
down in the forest. You haven't seen them out there?
Got a new outreach group.
Yeah.
Administrative group for the RRT, mentoring group, which I'm hoping we can get our novice members to make use of. RRT users group, sharing group is the main group outside of aside from the membership group. The one almost everybody ought to belong to is the sharing group. That's where
Sharing is when I
John's
want to
gonna,
post pictures and.
yeah, that's where John's gonna show us all his handiwork.
There you go.
Now, you go in here. This is how you can control. And by the way, you don't have to join any of these subgroups to see them. You can open them up and see what's been posted there. Find out if you have an interest in it before you subscribe to it if you want. But then if you, so I don't know what the value of joining it is if you decide not to take any email, but you can join a group and take no email. Or you can get, you can receive every message, or you can receive a digest, several levels of digest and a daily summary or a daily summary, and certain special messages only. But because a lot of these lists I want to follow, but I don't want every email. And there's a neat way to do this. I get a real, you can come down here. individual messages? Or is it you collect no message, you pick no message?
Move around.
I'm gonna have to see
It's
real
not
quick.
catching up.
Let me get rid of this. Under advanced preferences. All right. All right. You click all messages mailed to you according to your email delivery selection, except topics or hashtags you follow only the messages and topics or hashtags you have chosen to follow. So what you do, let's see, only messages. You come down here and you click follow only. There you go. That's what you do. So you click follow only, and then you click first message also. And so that's going to give you, every time somebody starts a new thread, you're going to get that email. You'll get that message in real time. And so you can see all the topics that are taking place on your subgroup with the very first message, but then you won't get any more after that, unless when you click these two, you respond or comment on that, then you'll get them all after that. Or you reply, or you made the post, excuse me, you made the post. So if it's your post, you'll get them all. If you join the conversation, you get them all. Otherwise, you only get that person. So when John posts his pretty picture, you are aware he posted that pretty picture and you get to see it, but then you don't have to listen to all the attaboys that he needs to hear, but I don't need to hear. So you can set this up and what, John?
I think you should hear them. I can quote.
John, your ego is growing.
So bottom line is, the beauty of this is you've got all these subgroups. You can pick the ones you want to participate in. You can read all the posts there you want to, you know, if you have a blank moment, you don't want to do anything else, you can get in and explore. And then you can join these groups that you are interested in and then filter them in lots of different ways, including this one. So that's the beauty of Groups.io, and I hope our
Now, you
members
don't have to get any emails at all, right?
Right,
You
take
can
no
do it
email.
all on the Groups.io website and not
Right.
get any email.
Well, and you've got some kind of app. Danny talked about this. where
Yeah,
you've
I've got an app for my
app
phone.
that manages this whole thing for you in a text format. So you get this stuff on your text, your phone as a text. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanna say I've enjoyed it because I get the emails and then I can click in and go into the sharing as well. So I just wanna say I enjoy it.
Good. So that's all. What?
This also, excuse me, retains all our old messages, for perhaps forever. The old system was one email, that's it. Sorry, if you lost it, that's it, because we don't have a copy.
Yeah, if you wanted to see the thread as you got into the thread, or you wanted to go back and check something, you had to search your email to find it. This way, it's right there in the system that you can go look. Now, that reminds me though, there was one other thing I wanted to show you. And
It is a little confusing at first. It's very different.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's better. Well, you don't have to listen to us discuss, wiring.
so there's this feature called the wiki. And you can have an infinite number of wikis for each group and subgroup. And right now, I've just got two set up for the main group, the membership group. One is participating in this platform, which explains how to do what I just said a while ago about how you can get the first notice and what you got to do that. But it explains the platform. But here, when we work on this and flesh this out, will be a comprehensive guide to the Central Arkansas Astronomical Society. Everything you could imagine wanting to know about this organization should be, could be, can be in this wiki. There's an introduction to the society, there's a history, and then there are activities that explain. If you're a brand new member, you can come in here and check all the different kinds of activities that the club has and does. Then there's a guide to the River Ridge Observatory, the facilities, the clubhouse, down to the coffee makers, classroom facilities, the AV equipment, the heating and cooling, how that runs in both buildings, the grounds, how they're laid out, what all these buildings are, maintenance guides, instruments, about the club's instruments, what we have. We need to flesh that out more about who's got custody, how you get your hands on what the rules are in using them, so forth. Communications, the various features we have to communicate with our members, the YouTube channels and the Facebook pages and the Night Sky Network, volunteer opportunities, and then a guide to the business operations structure of the organization. And somewhere in here, where was it, under communications, there is the internet service. How many times has somebody got on the listserv? What's the password to the Wi-Fi? So now you can come right in here and get the password to the Wi-Fi, and hopefully before too long, we will have a guide in here on how to run this program and Zoom our program in here, and it'll be published here. And so you can come back in here and read Chris's instructions on how to make this run. So this is hopefully will be a tool for allow new members to come in and get their minds around this club, and for old members to be able to say, oh, I forgot that password, I know where I can find it now. So there we are. I don't know. Remember right now.
Taken care of.
So before we close out the meeting this evening, we've got some new members and visitors. So would the new members like to stand up and introduce themselves? You can start with Heather.
I'm Heather Paddock. I'm from Jacksonville, Arkansas,
AKA stormy weather.
AKA stormy weather. And that's just because I'm a storm spotter and I've loved weather. So anyway, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I am a newbie, so I will ask some interesting questions probably. But I also like to learn, so please just be patient with me on my learning experience. Also, I do like to, I like kids. I love kids. I love the youth, so outreach. Use me for outreach. I have a lot of experience in that. I used to be a former educator. Great. So, and anything you need for volunteering, just hit me up and I'll see if I can.
Why don't you introduce your friend Ann?
And then this is my young friend Ann. She's a sweetheart, and like I said, youth is my passion. So we go meteor shower watching and stuff like that. So you want to say something? How much you love me? You can say that.
Embarrassing. Any other new members or visitors? Visitors.
I'm Donna Uli and I live just south of Bologna. And Catherine is my roommate.
All right.
So she twisted my arm and I decided to come.
Good job, kid.
Her kicking and screaming, but she can't.
All right then. Well, I guess unless anyone has something else to say.
One more thing I forgot to mention, we've got our first star party of the year coming up.
Use the microphone. Use the microphone.
Coming up. First star party of the year coming up March 1 and 2 at a new location. We've never had a star party at. It's a place that I have drooled over forever. If there was a way to have to access that for star parties, it would be wonderful. And it's Lake Sylvia out in the Ouachita National Forest. So it's a pretty good sky. The Forest Service, it's a Forest Service land, and And there would just seem to be no way to do anything there, but now it's become a state park. And there's a little peninsula that goes out in the lake where we can get a fairly open sky. And so we're gonna do something unusual for a star party, 2 nights, Friday and Saturday night. And they're reserving 2 RV spots for us. And we've got 2 volunteers that are gonna bring their RVs in there. So that'll reserve that area where we can get our equipment in and out that peninsula. And then, we'll set up a table and we'll have some hot water for hot chocolate and coffee and that kind of stuff. And if we can get the big hall, we'll also have a program beforehand. But you're talking about a borderline Bortle 3 sky, 35 minutes from Little Rock, which is very. Yes.
Haven't we been out there before?
Uh,
And had scopes up there, it's by a lake?
yeah, a little lake.
Yeah,
Had what out there?
we had some scopes up there one time.
Not the-
I think you're thinking Woolly Hollow. No,
Was it Willie Hot?
Yeah, Willie Hollow.
No, Willie Hollow.
yeah, we've never been to Lake Sylvia.
No.
And so the road system getting to it though, is that all gonna be the muddy gravel?
No, it's asphalt road.
No, I was on, Lake, the other road, Lake, Winona, and they had a place to go to Lake Sylvia, it's like, man, ain't no.
No, that's a different road. This is a main road highway. Now,
It used to be Stephen, it used to be a Forest Service road that went in there back in years
That's why I
ago.
was gonna try to find the, on the, Stella's observation site, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find all these places. in the
But,
state. Oh, no.
There used to be a Girl Scout camp there.
Yeah.
And Senator Lincoln used to, was a Girl Scout there once. And so she got the burr under her saddle to preserve that Girl Scout camp. And she, agencies and federal agencies and, US Senator, she got the coins and paved a road in there. I went in there well, the first time I went in there after they had done that, I didn't know they'd done it. And I couldn't go back stadium down at the end of that. I mean, it's a highway.
Coming in from the wrong.
Yeah,
way.
It's a highway. It goes right down to Lake Sylvan Park.
Bruce and I went out there once together, and I went out there second time myself just to get a better lay of the land. It's beautiful facilities. Now, again, it's 2 nights. They have camping sites, so you can pitch a tent there. They also have hiking, or they call them hiker cabins. They're very rudimentary. They got a bed, they got a sink. That's it. And a bathroom, excuse me. So that's it. So, if you want to reserve those, do so soon. And I hope everyone gets an opportunity to go out there. All
Can I
right.
ask a question on Zoom?
Thanks.
One thing,
Yes, Jim.
if you want Eclipse glasses, I've got Eclipse glasses tonight. They're $1 a piece for members. If you've not gotten any, your first 2 pair are free.
Okay.
That's it.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm going to close this meeting, this month's meeting, and I look forward to seeing everybody next month. Thank you.